is Pam S born and raised in Michigan. I live in Ferndale now. I, kind of had a traditional upbringing. I had actually a real happy childhood and traditional home and phenomenal parents. I was lucky with that. And siblings, two older sisters, a younger brother. Went through high school, college, and all that. And when I graduated from college, I got a job and moved down to Florida. And it was kind of a big risk for me. I was definitely had never left the state of Michigan other than some trips or whatever. Didn't know anyone down there, but this was kind of my big risk. I was gonna kind of spread my wings and see what I could do. So I moved down there on my own, and everything was going very well. And so I was kind of pretty proud of myself. I kind of felt like when I went off and went away to college, I went to Michigan State, and I had kind of built myself as an adult. That's the best way to say, and kind of was built myself to where I was pretty happy from becoming a grown-up. And things were going pretty well. I had been down there for a little over a year, and things changed because I had a friend of mine that had come down to visit me, one of my college roommates, and we had decided to go out for the night, and we went to, at that time, I'm kind of dating myself, but at that time, Pleasure Island was still part of Disney World, and we decided to go out there and met these guys, and unfortunately, unbeknownst to us, we were being targeted. And I was not drinking that night because I had been driving. I didn't notice at some point that I was feeling a little off, and they kept trying to talk us into driving them back to their condo, and they were actually golfers, professional golfers, and so they ended up manipulating us to taking them back to their place, which is right outside of the Orlando area, and I was assaulted. And when we ended up leaving and getting back to our hotel, by that morning I had pretty much blocked everything out. And I didn't really remember a lot of the night, and my friend didn't really know what had happened. She was not assaulted that night. But we actually ended up going to one of the amusement parks that night and then we came back because I lived about an hour away from that area. I came back and I ended up going through a bunch, my life kind of fell apart and I didn't know why. I ended up, the company I worked for ended up having to file through for bankruptcy, and I ended up getting laid off. I got very sick, and then I ended up having to move back to Michigan, and in the process of when I was supposed to fly home, getting diagnosed with mono. And I was like, how the heck did I get mono? Couldn't understand where I got it from. Came home, and here I was, a woman in her mid-20s, and I holed myself up in my parents' house. Didn't go out, didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And my parents were so happy I was home. They kind of were like, oh, okay, cool. She just hangs out with us all the time. Just so thrilled I was back. Started gaining a ton of weight. And tried to find a job, kind of stumbled around with that. Didn't really want to leave the house very often. And then I did find a job working in a retail store. Made some friends sort of through that. And there was a girl that I was working with, and she was turning 21. And I said, oh, I'll take you out for your birthday. We were out, and we were on a dance floor, and this guy started dancing with me, and I flipped out. And thankfully, I grabbed her arm, and I looked at her, and I said, we need to leave. And she knew exactly what to do. I was very lucky. She must have known something, and she didn't ask a question. She just said, okay, and grabbed my hand, and she grabbed my keys, put me in the car, and here on her 21st birthday, she drove me home. And after that, I started having a series of flashbacks and nightmares and started realizing what had happened that night. And so then I didn't know what to do. I'm like, okay, more happened that night than I thought. So the first person I talked to was my mother, and she didn't know what to do. Never really dealt with anything like that before. And so that's kind of what she said. She's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I talked to my sister, and she didn't really know what to tell me. I actually called Rain's phone number, their 800 number, and they got me in touch with a therapist. I started going to Turning Point in Macomb County there and started going to their free counseling. And it was interesting because I have been blessed with therapy in that I said, people don't understand when they go through therapy that not every therapist fits not only every person, they also don't always fit what you need at the time of your therapy. The therapist I had at that time was exactly what she made me realize what I was going through was normal. Because my whole thing was like, well, wait a minute, why am I felt so out of control, and I didn't understand that because I had never been in that situation before. And so she really no, this is totally normal what you're dealing with. And she really helped me kind of wrap my head around what had happened to me.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of looking around, and I said, when I went through my recovery, one of the things that my counselor did is have me go to a Take Back the Night rally. So then we start getting involved and realize that they had the woman that had been running it, she had health issues, and so she had taken a step back, and it was kind of chaos. So we kind of stepped in, thinking, oh, well, we'll kind of get it back on its feet. Then, now here we are.
Let somebody else do
later.
it. It didn't work that way, did it?
So what we ended up doing, and so as I said when I first started talking to you, that I always wanted to be a mom. Well, I got my kids.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
So now, long story short, we basically have taken over running the Take Back the Night. What has started out as this tiny group of, our first year we had 6 volunteers. Take Back the Night is a rally and march, or it's a grassroots movement. It was started, it's close to 40 years now, to raise awareness about sexual violence. And basically, it was originally started to really raise awareness that it was actually about sex workers, that they were just being mistreated, and there was no, and then it kind of morphed into that there was no resources for women who had been assaulted. There was no crisis centers, there was no places for them to go get counseling, there was no shelters and things like that. Now that that stuff is in place, now it's more to get the awareness out there where those shelters are, and the information is. But it's also, and our theme is always, I always say, we're there to raise awareness about what happens. We're there to give organizations the way to get the word out about what they do. But it's also, and that always top priority is to celebrate surviving, because people forget to celebrate that they have healed. And it doesn't mean that you finished healing, but every little piece along the way needs to be celebrated. And sometimes you might be in the beginning of that, and to see someone else be able to celebrate that they healed helps you heal. Helps you realize, somebody might have been like, I don't know if I can get through the day. And if they see somebody that got through 10 years, they can get through the day. And when we were talking earlier about you don't know how many people you have touched, that's our goal always, is to say we have to know that we touch somebody every year, even just one person, and realize that we touched that. And every year we are given a gift, whether it be an email from someone who says, I didn't know if I could make it through the end of this year, and you guys or, you know, because of you, I started therapy and I'm in such a better place, or because of you, I've changed my major and now I'm going to be a lawyer helping sexual assault survivors.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
We have had so many people that have come to us and, you know, told us this kind of stuff, or somebody who I never realized we impacted, all of a sudden, like, we get a $50 donation from them. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? They cared that much? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's kind of the amazing thing to see happen. And because of what we're doing, we created a nonprofit called Standing Tough Against Rape Society. We go by stars. And so it's based out of Michigan, but the goal being, you know, eventually to grow it bigger. But our main focus is to be the nonprofit arm, the 501c, to raise the money to put on the rally and march and to do the other events that we do on campus. So we're kind of like the community end to work with the students at U of M.